Hello, and welcome to Module 1. In MMCD, we're going to do a lot of talking about learning patterns. And so we want to take a moment to introduce you to the 3 charts we will ask you to review as part of Module 1. Developing a learning pattern is going to be really important, particularly as we move toward more and more mixing of our course modalities. If we're mixing things up, that could really seem random and be confusing to students. But if we're using multiple modalities in a pattern, then students always know where to go and how to behave and what they'll be learning at any given moment in the course. So we have 3 charts to share with you at 3 different levels of pattern. A local pattern that has you selecting the best modality for a particular activity or piece of information. A course level modality that has you begin to think about the balance of learning modalities across your course, and an institutional level pattern that has you match your own preferences to what the university's registration procedures are. The major modalities that we're talking about, again, are online asynchronous, online synchronous or web conferencing, and of course, face-to-face teaching. So our first chart asks you, what are the affordances of the 3 main modalities and how can you choose? This chart helps instructors consider which course elements are important. Are you focusing on access? Are you focusing on problem solving? Are you focusing on accurate information delivery and student recall? The chart helps you choose a modality that matches the course activity or the learning that you want to have happen, and then choose a secondary modality that complements that one for other activities or pieces of information. So for instance, online asynchronous has some advantages. It provides the maximum flexibility for student access to materials. It can help with increased student comprehension, increased opportunities for student application across all students in a course, and increased participation and equity among students. Online synchronous education can provide flexibility for students also in reducing their commuting time. It can have increased student comprehension if we're utilizing things like chat boxes or polling. It can be less preparation for faculty than online asynchronous is, and can provide motivation for students who find themselves motivated by the social connections of the course. Face-to-face provides, as we know, opportunity for in-room tasks and access to the instructor in the middle of problem solving. It can provide increased accountability for some students who are better at managing their time when they're in a social situation. Because we're often more familiar with face-to-face, it can provide opportunities for class preparation with less time on task. And it provides us opportunities for that just-in-time guidance for students who are wrestling with a complex problem. So now we want to think about how we're blending modalities into a learning pattern across a course. We know that 21st century teaching will increasingly require multiple modalities. Technology has improved, student expectations have changed. When we blend modalities by design into a pattern, we're able to balance access with excellence. So our second chart will help you envision how to balance at least 2 modalities in your course and help you think about how face-to-face might blend with online asynchronous learning, or how you might use some online synchronous learning in either your asynchronous majority course or your face-to-face majority course. At the institutional level, we're also looking to explore new learning patterns. We're increasingly at Mason diversifying the official learning patterns, the way your students sign up for a class when they go into Banner to do the registration. Students are familiar with face-to-face courses and with online 100% asynchronous courses. Some students in some departments have already had choices in which they register for a hybrid class, often a class that equally splits time between a face-to-face setting and an online asynchronous setting. As we're coming out of pandemic teaching and thinking about new 21st century patterns, though, we may discover other official registration patterns that we want to argue for and that students may find really beneficial. And so we'd like you to be able to explore the ways in which online synchronous teaching blended with other modalities can be of advantage to your students, and a variety of other flipped or blended or project-based hybrid courses that allow your students to learn the best way in the best modality. So our third chart will help you envision how your preferred learning pattern might best fit into current and possibly future catalog designated learning environments. The more closely your local pattern matches the institutional pattern, the one students signed up for at the start of the class, the better for students and the better for the learning in the course. So again, we've got 3 charts for you to take a look at, 3 pattern levels, thinking what happens at the local level, at the course level, and at the institution level. We're still exploring this at Mason, and so there may be places where one of these levels doesn't line up exactly with the other. But the more you have a pattern that is deliberately selected and repeated, the more you share that pattern and the reasons for it with your students, and the more you pay attention to ways that you can align these patterns across levels, the easier it's going to be for students to settle into a pattern of their own for how they learn, and easier for you to predict how you create learning in each of these modalities. We look forward to having really interesting discussions with you about the patterns that you're exploring and the ways in which they give you affordances and challenges and opportunities as you work on redesigning your course. Thank you.